And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the MTMV main card with your man, The Voice. As always, in the opposite corner, my mano y mano, my verbal sparring partner, none other than Philly's finest, Iron Wildress Ruffin. What's
I'm
going
here,
on,
yo.
Ruff?
Shout out to them Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan, but uh let's go Birds. It's
You
smoke
just
o'clock,
showed it
boys.
because it's fly eagles fly, and I don't even mess with football like that. But you just showed you're not an Eagles fan. Which hey,
Well,
I'm
I
you
didn't want to
said it.
say I didn't want to say that though. So I
Okay,
said what I said. You
okay.
know what I'm saying? See, it's smoke o'clock, and you
It's
already
smoke
coming
o'clock.
with the ridiculousness. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gave you your leading yet. And you
Well, it's you said smoke o'clock, so it's on site.
I see you got your Rocky Balboa pullover on, so let me go ahead and give you leading. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the man, the
And you know,
myth, the legend, the man with his own t-shirt, The Voice.
and hoodie, and they're on the way. So as soon as they get here, I will be sporting said things during the show.
All right, big time. All right. Well, we got an amazing show. Of course, with the Super Bowl, there's not too much going on this weekend in the world of combat sports, but we're looking forward to getting you all ready. And we got some big stories to get into. So, Voice, let's go ahead and get into KOs and low blows.
All right.
All right. So, Voice, one of the greatest boxing pairings in women's history is going to run it back. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 2 was announced to take place May 20th in Dublin. Now, following Serrano's victory Saturday night, Eddie Hearns actually made the announcement that the bout will be for the undisputed lightweight title. Now, many do remember that in their first meeting in front of a sold-out crowd in Madison Square Garden last year, Taylor defeated Serrano via split decision in what many consider to be a fight of the year candidate. Now, Voice, how do you feel about running it back, especially after Serrano's recent win? And what do you think that we should expect in this second bout in comparison to the first?
Okay, so I got the last question, which is what can we expect differently? But give me the first question again.
How do you feel about them running it back so soon with Serrano's most recent win this last Saturday?
I don't have a problem with them running it back now. I think it could have been an immediate rematch. I know that Serrano's had a couple fights since then. I think Taylor's had one. I don't.
Yeah.
If she's had more than one, whoever she fought, it was nondescript. I don't remember it. Um, so them running it back, I don't have a problem with. It was a split decision. I think it went to the right person, but I understand it being a split because Serrano brought everything that she could and threw she didn't throw the kitchen sink. She threw the whole kitchen at Taylor. The issue is that this fight is taking place, like you said, at lightweight. Lightweight is 2 weight classes above where she just fought. Is there enough time? I mean, it's what is this? This is um February. Fights are
Yeah.
going to take place in May. Okay, that does give you some time to bulk up a bit, but does it give you time to really get into the proper shape weight wise and put the weight on properly to take on Taylor? Because the issue with this fight was that she was punching above her weight, and the punches that would have stopped other fighters. But salute to Cruz because she was so very game in that fight last week. That was probably, or I should say, that should be in candidacy for fight of the year. We'll see how it holds up as time goes on. But salute to Erica Cruz because she came to give it everything that she had. Um, it's been a while since Serrano has stopped anybody. And like I said, Katie Taylor, the punches were there, and you could tell she was giving her all Serrano, but they just really weren't having the kind of impact necessary to win her the fight. Katie Taylor is a wonderful, wonderful fighter. As I stated, I want to say last week, I believe that Delphine Pursoon beat her the first time. So it's not that she can't be beat. But does Serrano have enough to make that happen is the question. And I just don't know if 3 months is enough time to get what she really needs, which is the pop behind her punches. And who knows if she could even carry that power up. Uh Serrano. She couldn't last time. So it's going to be a good fight. Absolutely. Going to take place in Ireland. Conor McGregor said he'll put up 500K to have it shown at Croke Park, which is like their big football stadium. Football in the sense of what the world calls football, not American handball that we're going to watch on Sunday, the Super Bowl. But football, worldwide football, what everybody but America considers
You
football.
can't keep slandering other sports, voice. You can't. You can't.
I
keep
can too.
doing this.
It's my show, and I can slander if I want to.
I personally believe that Serrano was going to come with something different, only because, like you said, a lot of people can argue that Katie Taylor lost that last bout, and I think Serrano is definitely going to look at that tape and also look at their last bout, and I think she comes in hungry. I'm not going to lie. I know we don't do predictions. I'm taking Serrano, and I might take her by knockout.
Okay.
I might,
All
so
right. That's
let
a
me know.
bold
I might.
prediction. Like I said, it's been a minute since Serrano's knocked anyone out, and she's fighting at not one but two weight classes higher than her last fight. And when you got 3 months,
But this
nice.
is potentially you can potentially call this the biggest fight of her career.
Oh yeah, it is.
I don't think she comes in unprepared. I think she comes in ready to shock some people and shut it down like I do against you every week. So speaking of Conor McGregor,
And then you wake up.
I wake up and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I was victorious and I did it with luxurious skin.
In your
Now,
dream.
speaking of Conor McGregor, UFC seems to be the comeback. It seems to be in a comeback year. He's going to be returning when he faces. Yo, you're on one today. You're on one today. He's going to be facing Michael Chandler later this year, and about that many feel could garner McGregor a title bout with a win, despite him not fighting for over 2 years. Now, the bout is scheduled to take place after he and Chandler wrap up coaching on the upcoming season of Ultimate Fighter. Now, not want to hold his words, Chandler is already predicting that McGregor will not make it past the second round. And unfortunately for Chandler, bettors ain't really checking for that. As both fighters are showing to be even on the betting odds, despite Chandler remaining active during McGregor's 2-year layoff. So, voice, what are your thoughts on McGregor's comeback? And how do you feel about the bettors kind of being not really sure of what Chandler's talking about right now?
I mean, as far as the comeback is concerned, it's needed for him. It's needed for the UFC because this has been a horrible year for them. So having this kind of good news is good for them. Having Connor on tough is going to be beneficial as well. We know that he's using steroids right now, so this gives him enough time to allow those things to cycle through his system. It gives Chandler time to bulk up some more if he wants to and needs to. It looks like he had already kind of start working on that anyway. So from the comeback aspect, especially for Conor, because part of this bad year that the UFC's been having has been Conor too, with trying to kill people at his birthday party or threatening to kill people. So for him, as long as he can keep his nose clean, pardon the pun,
Wow.
then this should be, or I should say, this at least gives him an opportunity to do some damage control with his persona, his public persona, because like I said, it depends. You're in Vegas. There are a plethora of places to get in trouble in Vegas. and you're there for a while. Not that he hasn't been there for a while before when he did tough against Faber, but he's different and things are different at this time. Now, that was a comeback piece. You said something. You asked about Chandler and the betting lines. Well, Chandler is a promoter at heart, so of course she's going to say the things that he's going to say. It doesn't really matter what the lines say. The fact that it's even, I think, is really that really is good for Chandler. Yeah, Connor's been out for a couple years. Yes, he has been hurt. Um, but the style that Connor has, and with the fight being at a higher weight class, it gives some edge. Or it really helps to even the playing field a bit, just just on paper, because Connor needs to hit him hard. And Chandler's been talking about going in and having a war. Well, that gives you the opportunity to hit him hard. Hopefully, he will follow the instructions and the directions of his team there at Killcliff. Henry Hoof is a master strategist, and the
Mhm.
strategy will be take him down, wear him out, ground and pound him. Do that for a couple rounds, because Connor, after 2 rounds, he's done normally. So do that for the first round and into the second round, and you can probably get a ground and pound stoppage.
Well, no matter what, I think it's going to be a big deal, especially those fireworks that are going to be happening as we get closer to the announcement. I know right now they haven't even decided where the bout is going to be taking place, so definitely be looking forward to hearing that. Now, as one bout is being made, another bout is kind of falling apart. It's kind of falling apart for silly reasons. So Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis are scheduled to actually fight this year. Don't know if it's happening at this point. Looks like there's an issue for a rematch clause that's actually holding up the fight as far as where and who will be showing it. I know recently Coppinger stated that while PBC and Showtime is going to handle the first meeting, and they argue that they should actually hold the sequel, but Golden Boy and DAZN disagree. According to that article, Tank Davis is going to be earning the lion's share of revenue should the bout happen in April. However, between that and the fact that Ryan Garcia is not going to get a rematch if he loses, it seems like there's a lot of disconnect there. So, Voice, what are your thoughts on that? And do you believe that this bout is going to happen?
I hope that it happens. The fact that both sides were comfortable enough in saying that if Tank beat who did he fight? Garcia, Hector Garcia. That if he beat Garcia, that they would have the fight gives me hope. Um, Here's where the rub is, because as we were talking off air just before we started, you have one side of a story, you have another side of the story, and the truth generally is somewhere in the middle. You spoke about the things that Mike Coppinger said. However, what Oscar De La Hoya recently said was the only issue was the rematch and who would be broadcasting it. He felt like the zone should be broadcasting the rematch um if Ryan were to win, and like that was it. On the other side, Steven Espinoza, head of Showtime Sports, said, "Hey, if he's saying that it's only one issue, then it's highly probable that we'll be able to get things done." And he also talked about him taking it public versus handling business behind closed doors, as business people do. Uh, but him saying that, he was like, "Hey, if that's it, then yeah, we should be able to get this thing done." The things that Mike Coppinger brought up, though, have a lot to do with it. Now, should it be a more even split? if Garcia were to win? Yes. Should it be on the zone if he were to win, Ryan Garcia? Yeah. Should there be a rematch clause if he's to lose? No. You are the B side. We know that you're the B side. Otherwise, you all wouldn't be fighting on who broadcast the rematch. You'd be fighting on who broadcasted initially. So, being the B side, no, a rematch for what? If you get beat, you get beat. And the way that both of them fight, you get beat, you get knocked out. What is there to watch? You know, what is there to do again? If you get definitively knocked out, then that's it. You know, so like I said, the truth lies in the middle, and we'll see. Again, I am hopeful, and actually, De La Hoya may have hurt himself in doing this, because if there is more than one thing, now they can kind of push and say, "Hey, well, you say it was one, and we're willing to give on that one. Let's get it done."
Well, I mean, so I have to ask. While I do understand what's meant by that, how can Garcia really be the B side when many are saying Tank hasn't really fought many people either? Like most of his contemporaries feel like Tank doesn't really have much to stand on either. So what would really make it seem as if they don't come into this even?
The reason that would be said is drawing power. Tank sells out arenas. Granted, they're talking all this pay-per-view stuff, and you don't sell pay-per-views, but he does get them money as far as the house is concerned. And from that perspective, that does make him the A side. Ryan has a lot of influence, a lot of pull. A lot of people will tune in to watch his fights. We don't know if that translates as far as pay-per-view is concerned. I think it will. For one fact and one fact alone, the greatest boxing, or I should say the greatest demographic when it comes to boxing is Mexico and or Mexican Americans. And I said boxing. That's probably combat sports as a whole.
Right.
When I went out to see the last UFC pay-per-view, there were so many of my Mexican brothers and sisters at the location because of Assassin Baby Brandon Moreno. So you have the Mexican aspect, you have the social media aspect that Ryan brings. So I think having him as part of this is really going to help with boosting the pay-per-view sales. But again, he's an unproven commodity as far as that's concerned. Tank has proven that he can sell, but he can get you in the door, but he can't necessarily get you to tune in sitting at home, at least not legally.
Got you. Okay, so it's like St. Louis University can get you into the door, but Villanova is what's going to sell. Got you. Okay, when we come back after this quick break from Ozell, we're going to be discussing the WBC Super Featherweight World Championship and also UFC 284. Come back from this quick break from Ozell, and I'm gonna take this win because right now voice can't really say anything.
So I can say something. I can say let Villanova play Slew and see what happens.
Who got more championships, voice? Who got more championships, voice?
I told you, boy.
Who got more championships?
We in the NIT every year.
Hey,
we always get invited.
You stay in the NIT, and we'll look at that top 25, and we'll go to March Madness. We'll see y'all later.
It's not just about the love of the game. It's about dedication and commitment through the process and the patience to endure. There's joy in reaching your goals and peace in knowing you've done all you're supposed to do. Ozell brand. It's not just a brand. It's a lifestyle.
Shout out to Ozell, definitely doing big things, moving up in the world. Now, voice, we got a big fight coming up live from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. WBC Featherweight World Championship. Now, Ray Vargas is looking to add another title to his collection. He's actually moving up to face. I've been I've been trying to make sure that I say his name and not say Shaquille because it makes you want to say Shaquille every time you see it. But he's gonna be facing Vargas Foster for the vacant WBC Super Featherweight World Championship. Now, the 29-year-old Foster is actually receiving his first title shot after having won 9 straight, and 3 of those are actually coming by KO. Now, Vargas believes that this bout is one that's built to challenge him. He recently stated, "This is a challenge that motivates me. I know that Foster is coming in to dazzle everyone. He's a good fighter, but it's my job to make things look easy. On February 11th, I'm going to outshine him. He's quick, and he has a good guard and good movements. You can tell he's worked hard, but I believe I'm the toughest opponent he's faced. He won't be able to get past me." Now, the 19-2 Foster is looking to play the spoiler. He's actually from 300 miles from his hometown, so he's going to have a lot of support there. Although I believe this is actually Vargas' second time fighting in the Alamo Dome. So, Voice, what are your thoughts on this bout and the confidence that Vargas is coming in with to add another championship to his reign?
Well, I mean, as far as the confidence that he's coming into it with, he should be confident. He is a champion at 2 different weight classes and has yet to taste defeat in his career. That should bring a level of confidence. Not only have I done it, but I've done it in multiple places for quite a long time. Now, as far as Oshaki is concerned, you're right. He's coming in here and he wants to he wants to win. I mean, who doesn't want to win? But for him, he's been boxing since he's been 8 years old. And he said that obtaining a championship, that's his dream come true. You know, he didn't visualize himself going to the Olympics or, you know, some of the other things that some boxers do. He wanted to win the belt. And what better belt than that green belt, as Floyd Mayweather would say. And he knew that, okay, I know this fight is coming up. I feel like it's going to be Vargas, even though Vargas was fighting at a lower weight class. He felt like Vargas was going to be the opponent for this fight. So he's been training and really focusing on this, you know, for about 6 months or so, you know, at least 4 months. So this is something that he is well prepared for. When you have a situation that you've put kind of all of your hopes and dreams on, that's kind of scary. It's kind of scary from a couple different aspects. One, will you put too much pressure on yourself to do it and hurt yourself, keep yourself from being able to be successful in it because you have too much vested in it? Secondly, you win, then what do? You know, it's like, you know, I have achieved my life's goal, you know, and that could be a great letdown. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Now, I'll say one thing that he has looked forward to, and something that Vargas has spoken of as well, is unifying the titles. Now, Vargas specifically said, "Hey, I want Navarrete," which we talked about Mexican Americans and Mexicans in KOs and low blows. He was like, "This is Mexican upon Mexican, Mexico versus Mexico, La Raza versus La Raza." So, which, I mean, even saying all that kind of gets me excited. However, he's got to get past Foster, who he believes he'll get past. You know, he keeps saying, it's like, yeah, you know, he does all that, but he won't get past me. So if he does what he says, then, you know, we can look forward to that. If Foster is able to achieve his dream, then it'll be on to unifying that title. And we talked about that a bit last week when Navarrete was fighting. You have 4 different champions right now. So there's a lot of fight to go around. And salute to Navarrete because Liam Wilson was not playing. And I thought he had him out of there in that fourth round. For him to come back and stop Wilson, that was huge.
Yeah, definitely coming with the heat. Even if you aren't familiar with these two boxers, which it's kind of hard not to be, Vargas versus Foster gives you a great storyline just to look into. Two great fighters. They're coming into it for two separate reasons. And if Foster can play the spoiler to this, it's going to be an amazing story to show. However, like you said, Vargas winning also, it speaks to that Mexican and Mexican American heritage that has kind of gone through the super featherweight division. If I'm not, is Julio Cesar Chavez fought for that also, didn't he?
Probably. Yeah. At some point.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be a great bout either way. So just make sure that you tune into that. It's going to be on February 11th. Now, taking place on February 12th, we have UFC 284. Now, this is going to be a great fight. There's going to be two main events. So there's going to be a co-main event. And in that co-main event, you're going to have Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. Now, Josh Emmett is literally on cloud 9 right now. And he's looking to continue to live the dream as he's going to be fighting for that interim UFC featherweight championship. Now, the winner of this bout will then be set up to fight Volkanovski at a later date to unify the featherweight crown. I can't talk today. Now, speaking on UFC Embedded, Josh Emmett actually, he shared a lot. He said a lot of things as a kid we dreamed of. I just felt like eventually I'll be successful and I'll do these things, but it's kind of hard. He said it does feel surreal because we're in Australia at the Indian Ocean on the beach, just hanging out about to go fight for a world title, and it doesn't get any better than that. Now, Yair Rodriguez on the other side of it, he's not dismissing it, but he had hopes to actually get a bout with Volkanovski a lot sooner, but he's not taking the bout with Emmett lightly. He stated that for me, whatever fight I have in front of me, that's the most important fight of my life, just how I've done my previous ones. I'm completely focused on Josh Emmett, and I'll worry about those future opportunities when I get there. Now, in terms of the past, I would have liked to have fought the actual champion and not be fighting for an interim belt, but that's just how things play out. And I'm not going to waste the opportunity. Now, Voice, I want to get your thoughts on not only what Rodriguez stated as far as, him feeling like he deserved this title fight earlier, and Josh Emmett, the way that he went. What do you feel like is the difference between their two approaches as far as how they're feeling about it? And who do you think would be the better fighter to go up against Volkanovski for the unification of it?
Great questions. As far as the different approaches to it, Yair sounds, like you said, a bit dismissive of the situation, which, as we spoke about before with Foster, that can be beneficial because, maybe it keeps you grounded and you're not coming into the fight with too much pressure on yourself. At the same time, you may not have the proper mindset. You may be looking too far ahead in things. And if I were Yair, I wouldn't be looking too far ahead. To me, Yair is fighting for the title because he was at the right place at the right time. His record over the last 5 fights is what? 2-1. Hold on, it's 2-1-1 or it's 3. No, it's 3-1-1. And that includes his last bout, which was a victory. But just before that, he lost to Max Holloway, which who doesn't lose to Max Holloway? Then the draw, or I should say the no decision, was a weird fight between him and Jeremy Stevens, who's supposedly getting ready to box Jose Aldo soon, which that's going to be very interesting seeing as Jose beat the snot out of him when they fought each other, and he didn't use the kicks. He just kept punching them up. So that'll be interesting. But that's neither here nor there. That was the no decision. Then he came back and beat him. But I mean, dude, you just came off a loss not too long ago, and you're fighting for the title. That normally doesn't happen. But again, to me, it seems like he was at the right place at the right time, which is the reason that he should not be overlooking Emmett. Whereas Emmett has been on an absolute tear. I mean, he has not lost since like 2017. So, nearly 6 years or so. I'm sorry, 2018. So it's been about 5 years since he lost. But since then, he's gone on to win like 5 straight and has done so in spectacular fashion. Now, these are the fights that took place in the cage. Let's not forget the fight that took place out of the cage where he had an injury that really set him back. He more than likely would have been fighting for the title sooner. And one of the reasons I think he is a bit more grounded in seeing this as the opportunity and really the title fight that it is because he felt like he should have been fighting Volk as well a while ago. When Volkanovski had, I want to say it was his last fight. If it wasn't his last fight, it was a fight before that. Emmett was there and he thought he was going to get in the cage and he thought he was going to be next in line because he'd been, like I said, on an absolute tear. And they were like, "No, we're going to go with somebody else." Like, what? What? After all I've done, you going with someone else? And I feel like maybe this was after the Korean Zombie fight. So it's like, no, that should be me. Why am I not getting the love? So he understands how fleeting and how precious a moment this is. And let's be real. The only way that this title gets unified is if Volkanovski loses in the main event. If he wins, you can kiss or he's gonna kiss the featherweight division goodbye, because though there are intriguing fights there, they're nowhere near as intriguing as the fights that can be made at 155. So really, whoever wins this fight, if Volkanovski is successful, they're the outright champion.
Wow. That's big. Well, I'm kind of speechless about that because that didn't even register me. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. So,
well, I'm sorry. You did ask if who had the better approach, or I should say, who would probably fare better.
Yeah.
I would. Oh, that's hard. That is really hard because both fighters have a very unique skill set. I would say, for durability purposes, probably Emmett. Yair is so explosive. That would be the fight that most people would like to see. But I think Emmett may have the better chance, again, because of his durability and the wrestling background that he brings. Yair has some jiu-jitsu, but as far as getting it to the mat, that's a different story.
Well, I mean, it's all going to depend on what happens, because if Islam Makhachev has anything to say about it, it's not. He's actually stated that he's looking to show people that he's not just a fighter, but a dominant fighter when he faces Alexander Volkanovski for the UFC Lightweight Championship at UFC 284. Now, he stated, honestly, I want to knock him out. Everybody says Islam is a grappler or a wrestler, but I want to show people my striking. He's a short guy, and I really believe I can knock him out. This is not his area. I'm from other divisions, and this is not the same power. It's not the same, and he's going to understand this, but he wants to try because he's not losing. And if he loses, what is he going to lose? It's just belt with him, but he wants to try and jump and make some good money, make some pay-per-view money, but this is not his area. So I feel like this is not his area. It should be the t-shirt he wears to the ring. Now, it's important to note Volkanovski has not been knocked out has only been knocked out once in his career. That was his fourth fight against Corey Nelson in 2013. Since then, he's gone on to defeat 22 straight people with 10 of those wins by KO. So, Voice, with everything that you just stated there, how do you feel about the possibility that Islam could come in and do something that only one man has done since 2013 and knock out Volkanovski?
This is a perfect setup because that's the angle I was coming from, because Islam has been talking mad head about I want to stop him. I want to stop him. He's a little guy. Let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah, he is very short in stature, but if you know about Volkanovski, you know that before he started fighting, he was a rugby player. And when he was a rugby player, he weighed 200 pounds and he was not fat. This was 200 pounds solid muscle. You spoke about his knockout loss in 2013. Do you know what weight class that was at? It was at welterweight, the weight class above where they're fighting. And he has, now granted, this was earlier in his career, and knockouts can come easier because of the level of competition, but he's got knockouts at 170 and at 155. So Islam's like, these are big guys. It's like, okay, but you don't knock people out for real. He's got a handful of knockouts. Most of his wins are by submission, and even some of those wins by strikes, it's a ground and pound. You got them down there. You did the patented Eagle Fight Club deal where you slapped the Dagestani handcuffs on them and you just kept beating them until the ref came in and said, okay, that's enough. When he lost, because he only has one loss too, how did he lose? By knockout. Who did he lose by knockout to? Adriano Moraes, who not only was that Adriano's last win in the UFC, that was Adriano's last win, period. He hasn't won since then. So, you're talking kind of big for somebody, whose record shows you're not really about that life. You about winning. You about dominant wins. But knockouts, so he may be stepping outside of his, well, not maybe. If he's talking about knocking them out, he is stepping outside of his standard skill set. If he means by knockout, because English is not his first language, if by that he means stopping them via strikes, okay. But even then, again, that only happens a couple times. Most of the time, it's by submission. Can Islam do both? Yeah, I think he can. Can Volkanovski win? I think he can. They have different methods of victory. For Volkanovski, he's got to get it into the championship rounds. He is the smaller person in stature, which means he should be more fleet of foot. And he's got to be able to stay away, do his thing, get up from the ground when Islam does catch him and take him down. But if he can drag him into deep waters, he might be able to do something, because we really haven't seen Islam fight past 3 rounds. Well, we never have, because he didn't have those kind of fights. So there is a way for him to be victorious. Volkanovski, there is, just as there is for Islam. I'm really excited to see it. This is for not just the UFC, but also for another MMA publication. This is number 1 versus number 2 right now in the world. And there's been a lot of talk about, it's not been publicized and things of that nature. And it may not have been, but for those of us who know, You know, as the saying goes, if you know, you know. And if you know this is a fight that you definitely want to see, and you have to, because so much is on the line as far as the division is concerned. Islam was right. If Volkanovski wins, or I should say loses, he just goes back to being the featherweight champion and defending against the winner of the co-main event. Oh, but if he wins, it's going to be huge. One thing that I wanted to mention, because I had this conversation via Twitter and I heard someone else talking about this on one of the podcasts that I like to listen to. They were saying that, oh, if Volkanovski wins, he's top 5. And I'm like, top 5 with a win over Islam? Because in my eyes, Islam is still unproven. Did he absolutely destroy Oliveira in that last fight? Yes. And that's like, okay, looks like he is the real deal, like he is who he says he is. But that's one fight. Like I said, he's lost. And not too long ago, got knocked out by somebody who hasn't won a fight since then and is well removed from the UFC. We have to see who Islam really is to say whether or not a victory by Volkanovski would put him in the top 5. And I thought about that even more so. Dustin Poirier, who we didn't talk about, who calls this new season of Tough the All My Children season, because he sunned both McGregor as well as Chandler. He put out a Mount Rushmore recently, and on that Mount Rushmore he had Fedor, he had Habib, Islam's mentor, Islam's coach, who's not going to be in his corner. Which that's another wrinkle in this. You have those two. You have he said John Jones and he said GSP. That's his Mount Rushmore, which is good. Would you put Volkanovski at number 5 when we haven't mentioned the great Anderson Silva? We haven't mentioned Anderson Silva. We haven't mentioned Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou. There are so many other great fighters that have gone before. It's like, how could you say that Volkanovski will be the top fighter ever, much less top 5, when you got DC out there who's done his thing. There are so many people, and these are just the males. We ain't talked about Cyborg.
Right.
Who didn't lose for like 10 years. We're not talking about Amanda Nunes. So, like I said, it's too early for that kind of talk. Give them time. Let them fight some more. Let's see what happens with the fights that do take place before we start talking about top 5 or number 1 overall.
I think it's easy in all sports, and you see it a lot. People become prisoners of the moment, and they don't think about the predecessors that came before them. So I think that's a great point. But UFC 284 sounds like it's going to be something that sets the stage for 2023 and beyond. I'm definitely interested to see how both of those bouts weigh out. It's going to be a great card. Appreciate your voice for definitely getting us prepared. But that is the weekend. And on top of that, of course, you have the Super Bowl. So there wasn't much this weekend to provide you as far as combat sports, but there's always next week. So we have a lot to cover. This is MTMV Sports. We are the fan. We're just individuals who love the sports that we speak about. And we do the research to make sure that we come and we can provide you the best each and every week. Please make sure you visit our website, get the merch. Voice got some shirts. Not the same podcast.
Full 94.
Full 94. Any and everybody you can think of. There's so many people, and I lose my train of thought, and I don't want to miss anybody.
Let's not leave the ladies out. V Report and Sports Talk with C. MVB University.
I just said I didn't want to leave anybody out because I ain't been able to talk all day. You just I mean, you gonna let me do my thing? You just
Yeah, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna get ready to stop there. So I want to
no.
make sure that the ladies, get their love.
Man, the ladies know how I feel about it. What's up, V? What's up, Miss Marvel? We got some great individuals
That's right.
on the team. Look at your voice messing me up.
I'm
Now,
sorry. I'm
make
shutting
sure
up.
you also check our website, get the merch, check out some of our amazing articles. Voice is actually writing articles. Also, we have some great things. We want you to be a part of that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to see. And also make sure you check Ozell brand. Those are some amazing shoes. If I'm not mistaken, Ozell actually just had some great news happen. So make sure you go over to their Instagram page and get more. That's all I got, because Voice decided he wanted to do my job today and do his. You know what I mean? The greatness of the Voice, he just wants to do everything. I can't be the utility man I'm supposed to be. Voice, give us your final words and take us out, sir.
Final words that we said something, or you said something about all the articles and things. Many times my articles are about Bellator because of the relationship that we've been able to build with them. I got to say salute to them because they have really done some good things. They locked up AJ McKee not too long ago, and they are now the primary combat sports property for Combate in Brazil. The UFC held that forever, and they just could not get a deal done when they were re-upping, and they released Fight Pass there in Brazil because they couldn't get it done. So hey, salute to them. They're making major moves and big moves, and they are one to watch. Who will get Francis Ngannou? That's the real question.
Awesome. Definitely some great news to follow. Make sure to keep up with the Voice on Twitter, because he's always talking about combat sports. He gives you that live feed during those great matches. You can follow him at The Voice. You can also follow me at Mr. Teddy Fair on all platforms. Thank you all for tuning in this week. We hope you have an amazing weekend, and we will see you at Smoke the Clock next Tuesday, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We out.